Captain Lemoni's deep, raucous voice could be heard. I pricked up my ears. He was talking about the water spirits who, during the storm, had climbed up the masts of his kaiki, kaik, kaiki, kaik, and licked them. Lick them. They are soft and sticky, he said, and when you take lots of them, your hands catch fire. Huh? I stroked my mustache, and so in the dark I gleamed like a devil. Excuse me. I stroked my mustache, and so in the dark I gleamed like a devil. Well, the seas washed into my kaik and soaked my cargo of coal. It was waterlogged. The kaik began to heel over, but at that moment God took a hand in things. He sent a thunderbolt. What's going on? The hatch covers were burst open and the sea filled with coal. The kaik was lightened, righted itself, and we were saved. No more of that. I do not know what's going on. Out of my pocket, I drew a little edition of Dante, my traveling companion. I lit a pipe, leaned against the wall, and made myself comfortable. I hesitated for a moment. Into which verses should I dip? Into the burning pitch of the infernal, or the cleansing flames of purgatory? Or should I make straight for the most elevated plane of human hope? I had the choice. Holding my pocket Dante in my hand, I rejoiced in my freedom. The verses I was going to choose so early in the morning would impart their rhythm to the whole of the day. I bowed over this intense vision in order to decide, but I did not have the time. Suddenly disturbed, I raised my head. Somehow, I felt as if two eyes were boring into the top of my skull. I quickly looked behind me in the direction of the glass door. A mad hope flashed through my brain. I was going to see my friend again. I was prepared for the miracle, but the miracle did not happen. A stranger of about 60, very tall and lean, with staring eyes, had pressed his nose against the pane and was looking at me. He was holding a little flattened bundle under his arm. The thing which impressed me most was his eager gaze, his eyes, ironical and full of fire. At any rate, this was how they appeared to me. As soon as our eyes had met, he seemed to be making sure I was really the person he was looking for. The stranger opened the door with a determined thrust of his arm. He passed between the tables with a rapid, springy step and stopped in front of me. "Traveling?" he asked. "Where to? Trusting to Providence?" "I'm making for Crete. Why do you ask?" "Taking me with you?" I looked at him carefully. He had hollow cheeks, a strong jaw, prominent cheekbones, curly gray hair, bright, piercing eyes. "Why? What could I do with you?" He shrugged his shoulders. "Why? Why?" he exclaimed with disdain. "Can a man do anything without a why?" "Just like that. Because he wants to? Well, take me, shall we say, as cook. I can make soups you've never heard or thought of." I started to laugh. His bluff ways and trenchant words pleased me. Soups pleased me, too. It would not be a bad thing, I thought, to take this loose-knit fellow with me to that distant, lonely coast. Soups and stories. He looked as if he had not knocked about the world quite a lot, sort of Sinbad the sailor. I liked him. "What are you thinking about?" he asked me familiarly, shaking his great head. "You keep a pair of scales, too, do you? You weigh everything to the nearest gram, don't you? Come on, friend. Make up your mind. Take the plunge." This great lanky lubber was standing over me, and it tired me to have to look up to speak to him. I closed my Dante. "Sit down," I said to him. "Have a glass of sage?" "Sage!" he exclaimed with contempt. "Here, waiter, a rum!" He drank his rum in little sips, keeping it a long time in his mouth to get the taste, then letting it slip slowly down and warm his insides. A sensualist, I thought. A connoisseur. "What kind of work do you do?" I asked. "All kinds, with feet, hands, or head, all of them." It'd be the limit if we chose what we did. It would be the limit if we chose what we did. I like this guy. "Where were you working last?" "In a mine. I'm a good miner. I know a thing or two about metals. I know how to find the veins and open up galleries. I go down pits. I'm not afraid. I was working well. I was foreman. I had nothing to complain about. But then the devil took a hand in things. Last Saturday night, simply because I felt like it, I went off all of a sudden, got a hold of the boss who had come that day to inspect the place and just beat him up. But what for? What had he done to you? To me? Nothing at all, I tell you. It was the first time I saw him. The poor devil had even handed out cigarettes. Well, oh, you just sit there and ask questions. It just came over me. That's all. You know the tale of the miller's wife, don't you? Well, you don't expect to learn spelling from her backside, do you? The backside of the miller's wife? That's human reason. I had read many definitions of human reason. This one seemed to me the most astounding of all, and I liked it. I looked at my new companion with keen interest. His face was furrowed, weather-beaten, with worm-eaten wood. A few years later, another face gave me the same impression of worm and tortured wood, that of Pinate Istrati, Romanian author who suffered from tuberculosis. He wrote in French. His chief claim to fame was La Maison Thuringer, 1933, the first volume of the life of Adrian Zography, the man without conviction, CW. And what have you got in your bundle? Food, clothes, or tools? My companion shrugged his shoulders and laughed. You seem a very sensible sort, he said, begging your pardon. He stroked his bundle with long, hard fingers. No, it's a santuri, a stringed instrument. A variety of cimbalom or dulcimer, usually played with a small hammer or plectrum. And what have you got in your bundle? Food, clothes, or tools? Wait. Santuri. The santuri? Do you play the santuri? Well, I'm hard up. I go around the inns playing the santuri. I sing old cleftic tunes from Macedonia. And I take my hat round this beret here, and it fills up with money. What's your name? Alexis Zorba. Sometimes they call me Baker Shovel because I'm so lanky, and Zorba the Greek. This is about him. Sometimes they call me Baker Shovel because I'm so lanky and my head is flattened like griddle cake. Or else I'm called Passatempo because there was a time when I hawked roast pumpkin seeds. They call me Mildew too because wherever I go, they say I get up to my tricks. Everything goes to the dogs. I have other nicknames as well, but we'll leave them for another time. And how did you learn to play the santuri? I was 20. I heard the santuri for the first time at one of my village fetes. Over there at the foot of Olympus, it took my breath away. I couldn't eat anything for 3 days. What's wrong with you? My father asked. May his soul rest in peace. I want to learn santuri. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Are you a gypsy? Do you mean to say you turn into a strummer? I want to learn the santuri. I had a little money put aside for my marriage. It was a kid's idea. But I was still half-baked then. My blood was hot. I wanted to get married, the poor idiot. Anyway, I spent everything I had and more besides and bought a Centauri, the one you're looking at. I vanished with it to Salonika and got a hold of a Turk, Recep Effendi, who taught everybody the Centauri. I threw myself at his feet. What do you want, little infidel? He said. I want to learn the Centauri. All right, well, why throw yourself at my feet? Because I have no money to pay you, and you're really crazy about the Centauri, are you? Yes. Well, you can stay, my boy. I don't need paying. I stayed a year and studied with him. May God sanctify his remains. He must be dead now. If God lets dogs enter his paradise, let him open his gate to Recep Effendi. Since I learned to play the Centauri, I've been a different man. When I'm feeling down or when I'm broke, I play the Centauri and it cheers me up. When I'm playing, you can talk to me. I hear nothing. And even if I hear, I can't speak. It's no good my trying. I can't. But why, Zorba? Oh, don't you see? A passion. That's what it is. The door, I love this guy. The door opened. The sound of the sea once more penetrated the cafe. Our hands and feet were frozen. I snuggled further into my corner and wrapped myself in my overcoat. I savored the bliss of the moment. Where shall I go? I thought, I'm all right here. May this moment last for years. I looked at the strange man in front of me. His eyes were riveted on mine. They were little, round eyes with very dark pupils and red veinlets on the whites. I felt them penetrating, searching me insatiably. Well, I said, go on. Zorba shrugged his bony shoulders again. Let's drop it. Will you give me a cigarette? I gave him one. He took a lighter flint out of his pocket and a wick, which he lit. He half closed his eyes in contentment. Married? Aren't I a man? He said angrily. Aren't I a man? I mean, blind like everyone else before me. I fell headlong into the ditch. I married. I took the road downhill. I became head of a family. I built a house. I had children. Trouble. But thank God for the Centauri. You played to forget your cares, did you? Look, I can see you don't play any instruments. Whatever you're talking about in the house, there are all your worries. The wife, the children. What are you going to eat? How shall we manage for clothes? What will become of us? Hell, no, for the Centauri you must be in good form. You must be pure. If my wife says one word too many, how could I possibly be in the mood to play the Centauri? If your children are hungry and screaming at you, just try to play. To play the Centauri, you have to give everything up to it. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Zorba was the man I had sought so long in vain. A living heart, a large, voracious mouth, a great brute soul not yet severed from Mother Earth. The meaning of the words, art, love, beauty, purity, passion, all this was made clear to me by the simplest of human words uttered by this workman. I looked at his hands, which could handle the pick and the Centauri. They were horny, cracked, deformed, and sinewy. With great care and tenderness, as if undressing a woman, they opened the sack and drew out an old Centauri. Polished by the years, it had many strings. It was adorned with brass and ivory and a red silk tassel. These big fingers caressed it slowly, passionately, all over. As if caressing a woman, they wrapped it up again, as if clothing the body of the beloved lest it should catch cold. That's my Centauri, he murmured as he laid it carefully on a chair. The seamen were now clinking their glasses and bursting with laughter. The old salt gave Captain Limoni some friendly slaps on the back. You had a hell of a scare now, didn't you, Captain? God knows how many candles you've promised to St. Nicholas. The captain knit his bushy eyebrows. Now I can swear to you, when I saw the Archangel of Death before me, I didn't think of the Holy Virgin nor of St. Nicholas. I just turned towards Salamis. I thought of my wife and I cried out, "Ah, Katharina, if only I were in bed with you this minute." Once more the seamen burst out laughing, and Captain Limoni joined in with them. What an animal man is. The Archangel is right over his head with a sword, but his mind is fixed there, just there, and nowhere else. The devil take the old goat. He clapped his hands around for the company. He cried. Zorba was listening intently with his big ears. He turned round, looked at the seaman, then at me. "Where's there?" he asked. What's that fellow talking about?" But he suddenly understood and started. "Bravo, my friend," he cried in admiration. "Those seamen know the secret, most likely because day and night they're at grips with death." He waved his big fist in the air. "Right," he said. "That's another matter. Let's come back to our business. Do I stay or do I go? Decide." "Zorba," I said, and I had to restrain myself forcibly from throwing myself into his arms. "It's agreed. You come with me. I have some lignite in Crete. You can superintend with workmen. In the evening we'll stretch out on the sand. In this world I have neither wife, children, nor dogs. We'll eat and drink together. Then you'll play the Centauri. If I'm in the mood, do you hear? If I'm in the mood, I'll work for you as much as you like. I'm your man there. But the Centauri, that's different. It's a wild animal. It needs freedom." Oh, I love this guy. "If I'm in the mood, I'll play. I'll even sing. And I'll dance the Zembekiko, the Hasapiko, the Pentasali, dance of the Siembex, the coastal tribe of Asia Minor, Butcher's Dance, Cretan National Warriors Dance. But I tell you plainly from the start, I must be in the mood. Let's have that quite clear. If you force me to, it'll be finished. As regards those things, You must realize I'm a man. A man? What do you mean? Well, free. I called for another rum. Make it two, Zorba cried. You're going to have one so that we can drink to it. Sage and rum don't go very well together. You're going to drink a rum too so that our agreement holds good. We clinked our little glasses. Now it was really daylight. The ship was blowing its siren. The lightermen who had taken my cases on board signaled to me. May God be with us, I said as I rose. Let's go. God and the devil, Zorba added calmly. He leaned over, but put the Centauri under his arm, opened the door, and went out first.